All right, Richard, thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for even asking, bro.
Oh, of course. You know it's weird. I think I followed the podcast. I don't even know how I saw you on another podcast from somebody I follow on the internet. And your whole style caught my eye, and obviously like when you do something in person, it catches your eye a little more than over the Zoom thing and whatnot. It was an in-person podcast, and it was well produced and whatnot. But I was like, man, what does he do? So I followed him. I'm like, he screen prints. And I thought to myself,
Yeah.
there's only a few professions where you can look at a dude with a bunch of tattoos, like, you know, on your neck and your arm and everything, and where it fits, like, it almost makes it better for marketing in your profession for your style. If that makes, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, hairstylist,
I,
like
I mean, yeah,
barbers.
I'm aware that I use it as a tool for sure.
Do you really?
I definitely I take advantage of it. Yeah. I know that I have unique qualities that stand out, and so I like to double down on those qualities.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool that you do that because, and I was actually going to ask you about that because I read in. I mean, I've got quite a few tattoos myself. I'm a dork about them. I love them, but I read something in Travis Barker's book about how he got his first tattoo and then he started getting them where they would show, and it was kind of like a thing where he was committing to his craft. He wasn't gonna go get a regular job. Like he was gonna tattoo himself up, and they were gonna show, and he didn't have a choice. Now he's fully committed to this job that he wants to do.
I can 100% relate to that. Once I knew that I was never the type of person to want to work for somebody else. It's never that's never ever interested me. I've always tried to figure it out on my own. And once I did the neck, my whole head's done, my whole torso, everything, like literally my entire body's covered. There is no plan B for me. I never even considered one. I once I knew who I wanted to be, I just went in that direction. And I've had ups and downs, but I'm better off being myself than not being myself and regretting it or living a life that isn't truly who I am.
Yeah, I mean, it
That
makes
makes
sense to me,
sense.
and I would love to do that. Like, it's tempting for me now. It's just a budget thing where I'm like, okay, we've got other things, and tattoos are expensive. So, I mean, that's one like where I would be
I got
covered on
lucky.
them
My
if I,
my I my best friend was a tattoo artist, so and we lived together. So he every day after work he'd just come home and he'd like pick a spot. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do this, let's do that. And so like over like a year's time, I was literally just covered just from day every single day, just getting a little piece.
that's so awesome. That worked out super nice, man. Well,
Yeah.
what did you do before you got into screen printing and doing the t-shirt stuff?
Um, that's a good question. So when I turned 18, I immediately went to work with my dad. He was a roofer. So I did that for like 3 or 4 years. If even that, it may not have been a couple of years now I think about it. And I did fiber optics. I worked for a fiber optic company when that first hit the scene, when, they were going from cable to fiber optic. I did that. Um, and I fell honestly, like, what do they call it? Product of your environment, where I saw people that were making money selling drugs and stuff. So I kind of got drawn into that lifestyle, and I went that direction, and that kind of led nowhere. And then my buddy, the guy that tattooed me, my old friend, he's like, man, let's just make a clothing company. Let's stop doing all this dumb shit, and let's be creative and do something. And I was like, let's do it. And that's literally what started it.
So you went from roofing to, like, I guess did you say you dabbled in the drug world, like that sort of thing, and then that wasn't for you, and then
A little bit.
into t-shirts, like, just like, hey, let's start a t-shirt company.
Yeah, well, okay, so he's a tattoo artist, so he has a creative mind, and I had the same. I've been messing around designing t-shirts since I was a little kid, probably like 12, 13 years old. I was playing around on like Microsoft Paint, making designs on templates. And And I didn't even know that would be my future. You know what I mean? Like for the rest of my life, I was just playing around with designs and I thought it was fun to do. And, yeah, so when he did bring up the idea of making t-shirts, I was already like, yeah, I'm already kind of familiar with it. And there's a part of me that wants to do that. So let's do it.
That's so rad. So then you jump into business with this dude? Like, just like, did you always have, what is it, InkLab, right?
Yeah.
Was it always InkLab?
So
Like you guys started it
InkLab
together?
no. So InkLab has only been around less than 2 years. That's just something I went in, I was screen printing and designing clothes, and then I went into a new industry where there was a lot of money being made, and it was like the gold rush in Cali at the time. So I you got to strike while the iron's hot. So I jumped in on that project, and I actually spent like 10 years there. Owned a company, made a ton of money, but it wasn't fulfilling. It was just I wasn't happy doing it, even though we were making a ton of money. It wasn't filling my soul, and I fell back into getting into drugs, and just I was miserable, man. So when I decided to pull myself out of that career of debt collections, that's kind of when it was like, where do we go next? What do we do? And I was like, man, I remember how to screen print. Let me just try to do that again. So here we are.
So what was the turning point at the other place? Like, do you remember a specific moment where you were like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's leading me down the wrong path. I'm hanging out with the wrong people. Like, I know that I'm not going where I need to go.
Well, what it was I wasn't doing anything. I could that industry could have been good, and it could have presented better opportunities for me, and I could have invested in new businesses, and I could have done better with my money. But I was so shallow personally. My actual soul, I wasn't aware of any of that. I was just a person. Just all I was fueled by was making money. So all the decisions I made were based on material things, and it wasn't based on anything that actually gave me purpose in life. And I think that when I raced to the top of this industry, I went from the very bottom level all the way to the ownership. And once I got there, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, I guess, I was really shallow, and, you don't have real connections with people. There was always motives and money-based, motives and stuff. They always had their own agenda around you. And I got tired of just being around people like that. I have the opportunity at any point in my life to shed the identity and the person that I am and make a new one at any time in my life. So I decided to do that.
That's it's a wild thing to hear you say that. And the reason I mean that, and I don't mean, like, obviously I don't mean in a bad way. I love the tattoos, but you've got the tattoos are at this point, right? Like, you've got the tattoos as the debt collector.
Yeah.
And
I would look like this by the time I was like 20, 21.
Yeah. So, and
I haven't even been tattooed in probably 13, 14 years. It's been a long time.
And your mindset is legitimately like, I can shed whatever I want and be whatever I want.
Yeah, in the blink of an eye. If you can really recognize that you, as any person right now, like you where you're sitting, you could stand up, walk away on this podcast, and go live in the Philippines and live out the rest of your life in the blink of an eye. But it has to be a choice, and you have to commit to it. And once you realize you have that power to literally stop being anything that you are and be something else in the blink of an eye, once you can really realize that and be self-aware of what it is that you want, that what you want to get rid of and what you want to have and where you want to go. If you can be clear on those things, man, it's limitless at that point.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's something that I've slowly become to realize. Not that I didn't always know it and hear it. You hear it all the time, like it's you can be anything. Like, if you just set your mind to it, if you dedicate to it, if you're disciplined, you hear these things over and over again if you buy the self-help books. But at some point, I remember for me, like, it was a point of just, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I want to own my own business at some point in life. And then I'm like, I don't know what that is. Maybe I don't want to own my own business, but I just feel like I do. Maybe there's something out there that's calling me. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my eyes open for it. I'm going to keep looking for it. If there's an opportunity that looks interesting, I'm going to take that opportunity and go that way. I made my mind up to just look for opportunities. then it started to like, I started to see things like, oh, this is my choice. It's been here the whole time. Like, this isn't something that just popped up. It's been here the whole time. I'm just deciding to see it now at this moment. And it's kind of accelerating the
Yeah.
further I get into that. I'm not, anywhere close to where I want to be, but now I realize the first little step into making that a habit to finding things.
Well, check it out. You may not be where you want to be, but you are right where you need to be. So you, at some point in your life, you asked the universe for something. All right. And the universe said, okay, I hear you. But in order for me to give you the gift that you're asking for, I need you to be this person. So the universe is going to throw specific challenges at you. It's going to seem like the thing that you want doesn't want you because the universe is going to throw so many things at you. But what it's doing is it's building the character necessary for you to be the person that has the thing that you asked for. So once you can recognize that and know that all those things that the universe is throwing at you when you think it's trying to make you give up, those are actually opportunities to learn and grow and get closer to what you're trying to get. So you're aware of that now. Now just do something with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not always easy. Like your situation, it sounds easy when you say it. Like you just said, like I can be anything I want to be. I'm gonna start a t-shirt company. I don't think people realize, like, if they're put in your position, if probably 85% at least of people were put in your position and you're making good money, you're in this industry, you've worked your way up to this certain spot, it's real easy to stay in that safety zone. You know what I mean? Like it's real easy to not take that leap and go, I'm just going to do something different.
Well, okay, that's the fun part of being an entrepreneur. And so the good thing about people like myself is you can strip everything away from me. You can bankrupt me. You can cut my legs off. And I guarantee you I will continue to build. I will stand right back up and I will continue to build just like I did before and just like I'll do again. Once you realize that money has zero power, it's not real. It's just it's something that we acquire for security, but it's not real. You know, the journey is what's real, and when you provide enough value throughout your journey, the money just comes to you. You don't have to go chasing it. You know what I mean? And I think that once you can detach from money being the thing that keeps you from following, from taking risks and doing scary things, if you can detach yourself from that fear, then and you live in a space of faith at that point, and yeah, I just lost everything, or I will lose everything, but that's okay because I'm gonna get it right back because I know what I did to get it in the first place. I'm just gonna do that again and learn from the mistakes of the last time.
It's crazy to have that confidence, man. I mean, it really, like, it's an awesome thing to realize. But I guess when you do something, my wife and I were actually talking about this the other day. There's actually today a little bit. We were having a conversation. It was like there's certain things in life that are scary at first, like whatever it is. I'm making a phone call, that first cold call as a salesman or something, whatever you just name it, like asking a girl out on a date, whatever it is. There's certain things that when you first attempt them, that there's a fear that goes behind, like, because it's the unknown. You've never done it before, like you've never experienced it before. But you, in your shoes, you've already done it, so you're like, I already know now. I did it. I was up here. I took the leap to go over here. Now I know. Like, you built more confidence regardless of whether InkLab was successful by making that jump, because you're like, I did it. And now I've got the experience and I can keep going.
Yeah, 100%.
So what do you do? Like,
See,
so
the
do
thing
you
is
design shirts? I was curious about this. Do you design shirts there at InkLab?
yeah. So we do logo design. I do actual designs myself. I'm working on a project right now. I don't know if you've seen it. I kind of promoted it. It's called Winter Circle. Um, I have a treasure trove of designs I've been sitting on. I have they're in production right now. I haven't been showing anything. I have a whole lineup that I'm ready to launch. I would say in the next 30 days or so. I'm hoping less, but our workload is so heavy right now, and it's we're moving into a new building, and there's all these things, moving pieces going on right now. So I'm trying to manage my time the best I can and my energy. Um, but the Winter Circle project is going to be all designs through my vision translated onto t-shirts. So I'm very, very excited for that.
That's really awesome. So you do stuff for other people and you design your own t-shirts as well, like a t-shirt brand like you had before. And then you also like you create logos for other people. That's like that's really cool, man. I dig that.
Thank you. Yeah, the idea behind InkLab was to create a, a steady source of money that could supply what I really want to do. And what I've been finding is through helping other people, I've been finding my fulfillment. I've been finding what I call my purpose in life. You know, I get the most fulfillment by helping other people, and I didn't know that before until I went through everything that I went through and decided to pick myself up out of the dirt and move forward. Um, Once I've started helping other people and helping them just get from the like level 0 to at least step 1, work your way to step 2 to step 3, so that they can build the structure and the foundation that they need to go where their life is supposed to go. There's just this space where like you're in this low vibration, and all you need to do is just change a few habits that you have, and you'll start vibrating at a lot higher frequency, and then you'll start seeing, like you said, more opportunities for growth, and you're going to start seeing all these things that you didn't see. And so I'm just helping people get from that bottom level to that opportunity level, and so they can recognize that there is a whole world out there that they were blind to. And that really helps out a lot. So moving with the idea with InkLab is to create the money that can push the brand, which is the Winter Circle, with all the designs and everything that I plan to do with Winter Circle to help people. And I feel like this is all kind of playing itself out like naturally, and I didn't even mean for it. Pretty dope.
That's pretty awesome. Now I'm excited to see what the Winter Circle is because I've seen you post the Winter Circle thing quite a few times after following you. I didn't fully know like
Yeah.
that's what it's going to be. Like it's going to be this
I'm
whole
just
sort of.
what that is I'm just planning it into your subconscious. So you're every time it's just every time you see it, you're gonna think of what I'm doing, what we got going on, and then so when it finally rolls out, it's already been fully embedded in your mind. Now you see what it is, and it'll show more interest.
Now we're
So it's
getting.
just been I've just been subconsciously throwing things out there.
You are throwing things out that I actually had on my mind to talk to you about because your your Instagram, the way you market on Instagram, and it's not you don't copy anybody with the way you do it, but I had a couple people tell me like, "Hey man, you're a cool dude. They need to see more of your personality, who you are." So I started to try to put more of my like rollerblading stuff out there. It felt weird at first because I never videotaped before and posted. It's like I'm just doing it because I like to do it. And so they say they need to see more of your personality. And then I watch your like I'm trying to figure out how do I put my personality and the way I am onto this thing without it looking like it's not like with it looking authentic, Because it's weird for me to do. And then I see your Instagram page and I'm like, that's how you do it right there. Like you're doing the 75 hard, which if nobody knows what that is, it's a crazy challenge that you're in the middle of, and you post every day about this. I mean, you're a t-shirt company. You're like, I'm posting my 75 hard every single day. And like you do all these things timing wise, and it's definitely your style and it works and it attracted me to the InkLab site. Like when I look at it, I always click on yours. Like, gotta watch the story. Gotta watch the story. Gotta watch the story. Like so.
Let me ask you something. Let me
Sure.
ask you. How often do you see that InkLab logo at the top of your feed? The stories.
Oh, I see it a bunch.
Do you know that I learned that from Gary Vee? So something he said was that you're supposed to be posting 100. You should be posting 100 pieces of content a day. Okay. Now, granted, people like you and I, we don't have a whole media team that can just pump stuff out for us. So I took that concept, and I have my main channel, which is Instagram, which is where everyone can keep up with us for the most part, most up to date. Um, and I said, okay, let's post so often through there that it keeps the icon at the top of their feed. And not only that, but now every time you see or you hear screen printing or embroidery, it's synonymous with InkLab because it's been in your face every single time you open your phone.
it's very it's very true what you just said, and it's cool that you put together because I mean I've listened to Gary Vee stuff. Everybody does. He never says because that icon's in front of your face all the time. You know, you can
No, he
you
doesn't say it like that, but I that was how I interpreted it and then translated it to what I do.
and that's the creative cool part about it is that you took what he was saying like the fundamentals and then you flipped it and did it your own way like and you're like oh yeah I need to keep this icon in front of everybody so that they see but it worked on me and I'm not like a guy that gets sold on a bunch of things but I see InkLab all the time and I'm drawn to that kind of artwork and the style and the tattoos and I'm like this this guy's cool, dude. I want to have shirts printed up. What do I need? I need shirts printed up. Where does he live? Like I don't even know where it is. Is it?
Yeah, well, I also, like you said, I don't just only post screen printing related stuff on there. So, um, InkLab, it to me is a whole. It's a it's a like a brand, like a whole lifestyle. It's this is who InkLab is. Me, my wife, my kids, we push every day. We live every single day, and the brand just happens to be a part of that life that we have. You know, and so that's why it's not your typical stuff. And when I say the icon's always at the top of your feed, I'm never just posting stupid stuff on there. You know what I mean? It's always in the moment. And what's crazy about it is that those things that I post are actually super interesting to me in those moments. And that's why I like to share them, because I really have a cool fucking job, man. And I get to create all day long. I get to touch fabrics all day, every day. I get to make screens. I get to mix inks. I get to do graphic design. I get to make people happy with designs, with logos. I get to express myself through creativity all day, every day. So when I post those things that I post, it's like, man, this shit looks cool to me, man. Like, I want everyone else to see this too. You know what I mean? And that's why I do it like that.
It's
You know?
so, and that's what I was trying to figure out how to do myself because I'm like, it's a podcast. I sell coffee. I've got other things that I want to do that I've got in the works, and figuring out this marketing thing is super fun to me. I actually enjoy it. It's not necessarily the easiest thing. I did sales, and so there's that, but it's really fun to get creative with trying to figure out how to market it and like seeing the steps and
Yeah.
progressions of like me sucking real bad to not sucking as bad to you know what I mean like with the post and the way you're writing it then
Yeah.
like sharing my like a thought that I may have or maybe worrying if I'm going to offend somebody one way or the other if I say something nowadays with everybody getting offended about something and figure like thinking too much about the words that I'm saying just say it in my words. I'm like I don't if I do that I'm not going to offend anybody and if they do then they don't need to be following my channel. And you're kind of one of the ones where I followed it and I was like that's it. That's it. Like I just need to do it my style like the way Richard does it. It's that easy.
Well, see, what branding is just expressing your unique qualities through whatever it is that you're doing. So, if coffee is your thing, what is it that attracts you to it? What do you bring to the table that's different than what other people are doing? You know, how does it look through your eyes when you're expressing yourself through that? And those are the moments that people want to see.
Have you always had
The
this
real,
mindset?
like the creativity side, you know?
Have you always had this mindset towards it, like towards the advertiser? Did you learn step by step? Like, did you trial and
No, dude,
error?
I had no idea. What's crazy is in my first round of when I had my clothing company when I was younger, um, we did do promo videos and we had Lamborghinis in the video and Bel Airs and all kinds of cool cars and motorcycles and stunt bikes. We did all the cool. It looked like somebody another podcast I did. My buddy was like, it looked like a Blink 182 video, and I looked back at it. I was like, damn, you're actually pretty right. I didn't even realize that, and I was probably 24, 23 at the time. And so we were already doing it like that back then, but I just didn't have the resources to keep pushing that because it was expensive then, especially back then, to shoot videos like that. Now
Yeah.
it's super cheap. You can just use your iPhone. And I do. That's why there's so much out there. But um, the quality stuff, man, I'm still trying to build those resources and wait till you see once I'm able to express what I have in my head through an actual video lens of a commercial or a promotional video, it's dude, we're gonna shit on everybody. I just can't. I just trying to get to that level, and that's where I'm stuck right now, man.
It's cool to
So
see
as
somebody
far
so.
as you know,
What are you saying?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's weird over Zoom sometimes, like the delay in it and not being able to sit across each other. You know, I hate it as a host when I do what I just did to you.
No, please, no. I was getting long winded, anyways. But to answer your question, um, I picked up a phone about 2 years ago. I didn't have Instagram, anything like that. I didn't know how to express myself. I just started taking what I thought was cool pictures at the time of things that I thought looked cool. And what I tried to do was stay away from everybody else's pages so that I was never inspired by what they're doing. So that I could never, no one could ever say, oh, your style looks like theirs or your style looks like theirs. Because I never wanted the inspiration from other people, if that makes sense, because I never wanted it to be melt into what what I was doing. So I just thought I never paid attention to anybody else and just kept doing what I was doing, and it just carved my own lane.
And that makes, and that, I like what you said there because when I look at you doing the 75 hard, if I ever did the 75 hard, I'll never post about it. because in
Why
my mind
not?
I followed you, you posted about it, and so in my mind you're kind of a poser when you're in that, like, I don't know if it's action sports world. If you ever skateboard or you ever BMX or whatever you do, like there's a certain level of like you don't want to be that poser that does that. Imitation's fine, but like I couldn't post the 75 hard and do it like you do because that would be taking your idea in my mind. It needs to be authentic from me and then it'll come off natural.
Well, yeah, but I still encourage you to do it because um, it inspires other people when they see that you're holding yourself to that level of accountability and discipline. Your light will shine on them, and they will see like, man, if he can do it, so can I. And that actually happened to me when I was coming off of drugs. I heard someone else's story about how their husband came off, and this dude was out of his damn mind. And when I heard that guy figured it out, it was that much more. It gave me that much more inspiration to see the mission through, which I did. And but I'm just telling you, you never know. You know what I mean? Just posting that stuff, it may seem stupid or corny, or you may feel like you're a poser or whatever, but you never know, man. You're going to affect people in such a positive way. And worrying about what other people think, calling you a fucking poser or anything, anyways. Who cares? Who cares what
It's
anybody
a true
thinks?
story. It's very true. That's where I get
Yeah.
stuck. Like that those are the areas I get stuck in is thinking that way. I mean, when I started at the CrossFit gym, I wouldn't go buy CrossFit shoes or shorts or anything until I was there 6 months because I didn't want to be that dude that bought all the gear. It's just the way I thought. Like it's my process. I know it's a speed bump in my way, but that's why I was using that as an example. I see that and I'm like, oh, it might be better for me just not to pay attention to other things and just do my own thing. Whatever interests me, just post it and I like it and do it my way and it works.
That might be why you're getting stuck. You know what I mean? Why you feel like you're not moving forward or whatever it may be, because you're thinking this far can only get you this far. You got to think differently now. All right. So, and if you're ever making a decision based on what somebody else may think about it, that's the wrong mindset as well. Because you have this one life, bro. So if what somebody would think would make you look like a poser is something that feels good in your heart, who fucking cares what they think, man? Stick to follow whatever your heart's telling you. If your heart says, hey, man, I need to get the new CrossFit clothes because I want to take this serious from day one, then go get them, man. Who cares?
It's 100% like, so it's what I tell other people all the time. Like I tell that to other people and I want to promote the sport or the activity that I'm in. I want it to grow and be gigantic, man. I mean, I want screen printing to be huge and your winter circle to be huge, but then on my end, sometimes I do that. I realize I do it. I'm getting better about it, but it was just funny that you made that comment about it because I'm like, oh man, I can see myself already thinking this way with these certain things and the
Yeah.
marketing and almost diving too far deep into it.
Yeah, you're overthinking it for sure. I think you should just follow your instinct, follow your gut, your heart, whatever it's telling you to do, however it's telling you to express yourself, do that. Because the more you keep that in, the lower your self confidence is going to be. So you need to start expressing yourself, your true self. You have to, or else you're going to be stuck where you're at forever.
I want to. I got a question for you because I picked something that you said just a second ago. As far as like you heard somebody say something about the drugs, and this guy was out of his mind, and that helped you get off. Was it difficult for you in your situation to clean up your lifestyle as far as that goes? Like get off of the drugs and move into this better lifestyle. Like was there any sort of transition or any sort of difficulties with leaving that world behind?
No, because when it was time, it was time. You know what I mean? And I did it. I made the. It's funny you said it, Travis Barker, a quote that inspired you. Well, there was an interview he did with Joe Rogan where he talked about when he gave up. I think it was weed and pills and all this other stuff. And he said this phrase, and this is what I held on to so tight when I was getting sober. Was he said, I turned a corner in my mind, and I just wasn't that person anymore. And I grabbed onto that so tight, man, because when it was time to change, I turned the corner in my mind, and there was no other option. You know what I mean? So that there was no going back, there was no looking back. That life didn't exist. I turned the corner. That was the end. And so I've been sober ever since.
That's wild, man. You don't hear a lot of stories. I mean, you hear some, but you don't hear a lot of stories about people getting sober that way and not having that struggle of it pulling them away or drawing them back. Like I guess when you make your mind up with something, you just go with it, and that's it.
Yeah. There's something that Jocko said. He says unmitigated, or he goes unmitigated daily discipline. Hold on a second. Unmitigated daily discipline in everything you do. Okay, so when you think about what that really means, that means there is no compromise. There is no inner dialogue. Whatever the mission is that needs to get done gets done. Period. No excuses. Even if they're valid, they're still excuses. So if you can have that type of discipline where there is no compromise, then the other part of whatever you're trying to get rid of doesn't even exist anymore. It's not
That's
even there.
yeah. That now that's it's an awesome thing, and I do dig all the discipline stuff and the hard work and all that. Like that's something that I'm very into, and I constantly hold myself accountable. Accountability is another thing that I try to focus on. Like anytime a thought may creep in about not being accountable for something, no matter what it is, I could have made a better decision. I could have done something different here. I could have reacted different. I could have, if I get defensive at all, I try to rewind the tape and like stop that. It's not that's not the way it is, and change that habit up.
Mm-hmm.
But that discipline kind of goes along with that, and like it's really awesome, man, that you could apply those. I mean, I know you might not have heard that back when you're getting off drugs, but the way you can apply that sort of discipline to your life in a certain sort of like situation like that, where it's typically undisciplined and flying off the rails, is a pretty impressive thing.
When I did my when I figured out what it was that I didn't like about myself, what was it that kept me from looking in the mirror at myself? I couldn't even look myself in the eyes in the mirror for years. I was trying to figure out what that was. And what it was I wasn't keeping the promises I was making to myself. I wasn't becoming the person who I saw in my mind. I was going the complete opposite direction. So once I recognized that that's what the problem was, okay, I said, okay, so how do I fix that problem? Well, to fix that problem, we need to change all the bad, we need to remove all the bad habits and then replace them with good habits. And how do I replace them with good habits? You got to do them one at a time, and it takes self discipline. Okay, so self discipline is what I have to work on before I can do any of these things that I know I need to do. I need to work on my self discipline. And when I figured out that that was the one habit the foundation that I needed to bring in the other new habits, I did my first round of 75 hard, and I went so aggressive, man. I changed, my body changed, my mind changed, and I saw the reaction that I had to it. And believe it or not, I actually failed on day 70. All right. So
No.
that really ate away at me. Dead serious. It ate away at me for so long. And then my buddy was like, hey, let's do it again. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So then I jumped in on this one and I just pulled out all distractions and it's just full focus getting it done.
Dude, that's so. It's so long to get to that one. Like you're 5 days away. 5 days
Yeah.
away. What I gotta ask now? What was it that you messed up on?
I can't remember if it was I missed my second workout or if I didn't read, but whatever had happened, I sat on the couch around like 8 p.m. and I would always do my second workout after my whole family fell asleep. So I do my first one in the morning and then my second one like around 9 or 10 at night. And that day, man, I was just pooped and I sat on the couch. Unfortunately, got comfortable. My wife Jenny even came out and she was like, "Hey, you're gonna go do your run or whatever it was." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. Don't worry." And then I fell asleep and I woke up the next day and I was like, "No." And I even
Ah.
tried to psych myself out to try to start over that next day. I was like, "All right, day one, here we go." And I did it for like 3 days and I was like, "Man, I'm kidding myself. Like, I'm so burned out."
So you didn't
So
make it the first
yeah, I
time
let
you tried
myself
it.
down, but nah. But
This is
I grabbed so many lessons and I kept those things with me. I kept reading, I kept drinking water, I kept working out twice a day. I've always eaten clean, so that's never really been a problem. So I just kept doing those things. And then so this time around, I was already doing them. So when my buddy was asking me, he's asked me to do it, I was like, I'm already doing it, but you know what? I didn't mess up that first time. So let me get through it this time so I can feel better.
that's so awesome, man. What day are you on right now?
Uh, 38.
38.
Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, day 38. So I'm like halfway.
And but you're already living life like the 75 hard, so it's not really that. It's not. Do you find it as difficult this
But
time?
what sucks about it is I can't take a day off if I want to. You know what I mean? Like with the other way, if I'm like, hey, I need a rest day, I give myself that. But now I can't even do that.
You just got to figure out a way to go work. What is it? 45 minutes, right? 45-minute workouts.
Twice a day, 45 minutes.
That. So do you spread them out real
Excuse me.
far, or
To be honest with you, I try to get all the hardest work done early. So I'll wake up at 3:30 or 4, and I'll immediately go into doing yoga or something like that, so I can just get my body stretched, warmed up, blood circulating. I'll do like 45 minutes of that, and then I'll do my reading immediately after, and then take my picture. And then when I go to the shop, there's a gym right next door, so I'll go boom over there, or else I'll go run outside for 45 minutes, and then I'll be done with all the hardest stuff by like 9 a.m. So all I have to do is just drink my water.
oh, what an awesome way to do it! By 9 a.m., you're already done with everything.
All the parts that suck are done with by 9 a.m. So all I gotta do is just drink water all day, which I do anyway. So
And so in like a family, like you said, you mentioned you have wife and kids, and you've got that. It's difficult to do like fit those both workout like those two workouts in. That's a cool way of doing it. Like knock it out by 9 a.m. and then you're like, I'm all the rest of the stuff I can handle. I can manage that real easy.
yeah, and then like you're in a peak state by 9 a.m. You know what I mean? You've worked out twice, you've read, your mind's sharp, you're drinking water. So
That's what
it works out perfect,
do you
and
find like
so you basically built a monster to just walk into the day.
do you find that you have more energy during the day by doing that, like at work and to go through the processes and all that stuff?
100%. Yeah. 1000%.
Does it open up your creativity? Like you're already a creative guy, right? Do you feel like you get more creative when you physically exert yourself earlier in the day and then go into work and then you start creating things, or have you noticed a difference?
Well, I mean, I've been working out in the mornings for so many years. I don't know, if I was working out in the mornings even before I started printing again. So I really don't know, but I would say that I would say, yeah, I mean, it definitely can't hurt. You know what I mean? I always have a lot of energy anyways. I'm just a really high energy person. So, I'm always, my brain literally never turns off. Even as we're talking, I'm breaking apart sentences that you're saying and interpreting them and analyzing them in my head as we're talking.
That's
It's
so
just how I'm
awesome.
wired, man. So yeah.
That's so awesome. Maybe you should have your own podcast. Do you have your own podcast?
No, I've considered it, and I was gonna run it with the Winner Circle kind of brand when what I plan to do with that. So I would say I will have one.
Yeah, and I actually told somebody. So you're the perfect guy for something like this, even. And I mean, you can take this as a suggestion because that's all it is. It's nothing like that. But there's a guy I had on my 100th episode. His name's Justin Sua. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. He's a mental coach for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he's been the Red Sox and he does a bunch of things on with individual professional athletes as far as like mentally how to get themselves in a successful place, right? How to think, how to process.
Yeah.
He's there to help them. He does the cool so his podcast that he has, it's like 10 minutes long. It's like it's one subject. He talks on that one subject for a short period, explains it, and that's it. But it's every day he puts one out. Boom, 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 boom. And he started doing a YouTube where he goes a little bit more in depth on his thought. But those are really cool because you can get that little shot and it sparks my creativity right then and there. Or if I think of something like, yeah, I need to apply this in this situation. Like, it's just a cool little podcast. And you're one that could totally pull that off if you wanted to.
To be honest with you, so I had this series that I was going to put together, and it was going to be called Iron Sharpens Iron. So that's my favorite verse ever in existence. And do you know? Have you heard that
Yeah.
verse? Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
understand what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to call it the Iron Sharpens Iron, and it was going to be like a small series of maybe 10 to 12 podcasts or whatever it is, but each one is going to be themed. Each one individual is going to be themed, and with all of them together, it makes this person. This you have all these different habits, characteristics, and rituals and things that you do, and each one's going to discuss that. So when you have all these things dialed in, you'll have the sharpest version of yourself. So that was my concept I wanted to run with.
That'd be awesome, man. It would be awesome if you did it. I love doing this stuff. Like, you're a guy who likes to send it, I can tell. And that's kind of the way I got into this is just, I love podcasts and listening to stuff. I prefer to improve my life and listen to books and podcasts versus music when I'm driving or if I'm at work or, I've got a lot of windshield time. And I just learn a bunch of things that way. I probably learn more from podcasts than I have from any sort of schooling or anything else, just all the different things I listen to. And my wife's like,
Yeah.
everywhere you go, you're generally interested in somebody. You should do it. And if I say I'm going to do something with my wife, she's like, immediately she goes, "You better do it. Figure out how it's done and do it." So there's no talking around her. It's all action. So I did it on the way to work, and I've been hooked ever since, man. I've been hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you've
That's
done
so
a lot
awesome,
of
man.
podcasts. I see you popping up everywhere. It's like you're on a ton of different podcasts, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, I gotta spread my influence. I have a message that's important. I can offer a lot of value to a lot of people. So, the more that I can attract to what we got going on, the better, And
Do you
so
enjoy
each one of
doing
those
them? Like,
podcasts is an opportunity.
do you enjoy being on them? Like, and like all the different shows and the different hosts and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I find something. I take away something from each one. Even when I'm a guest multiple times, like for instance with like Andy and myself, we've done probably 10 of them together, or maybe not that many, but every time I'm a different person when I leave because you have your perspective, I have mine. I listen to you, you listen to me, and we kind of go back and forth. And I always pull something out of each one from each person I talk to. There's like a piece of you that's going to stay with me forever after this. That I'm going to think about something that you said. And so I enjoy those experiences. I don't even. You're on the other side of the U.S. You know what I mean, for the most part. And here we are, just having a conversation, just two people. Like, this is dope to me. Who are you? Who am I? You know what I mean? What do you have to share? Like, I love this, dude.
Me,
So,
dude, I could not agree more. I actually said that on one of my other podcasts. The guy was asking me about like all this stuff in the show and why I started it and why I love it. Like I love talking to people. Like if I met you, this would be a conversation I would have. I'd be curious. I'd want to know questions like the drug thing and because I'm fascinated with people and their success and what they overcome, and I'm just fascinated with people that like in general, right? And their conversation, because I feel like I learn selfishly is the way I say it. Like I pick up something from them by having a conversation, and hopefully something I share they pick up on. Like I feel like each conversation can be
Yeah.
more than just small talk. It can be something beneficial to both of us, right? And then maybe to anybody who listens
With
to
the
the
podcast,
podcast.
that's where those conversations happen. What's dope is you're finding people who want to have those conversations, because how many people do you talk to in a single day that you're not it feels like you're just talking to an avatar, you're not even talking to a real person, like you said, just small talk, but then few and far between there's those people like yourself, myself, that we can get together and have a real in-depth conversation, down to a spiritual level, and connect with each other, and actually have a good conversation. And what's also dope is what I try to do is I try to leave people better than when I found them. Like that's something that's really important to me too. I never want to leave someone's presence and them feel worse than when I got there, you know?
Is that an intent that you just created, or are you naturally drawn to that?
I do it intentionally, because I like to see people light up. I like to see people smile. I like to see people happy. I think too many people have been conditioned to be sad or to be depressed or anxious or all these other ailments. It's a conditioning, and unfortunately, like, people aren't self-aware enough to realize that happiness is a choice, that you don't have to feel the way that you are right now. In any given moment, you can change the way you feel in a heartbeat, just like I said, in a blink of an eye. The same goes with your emotions. So if I can connect with somebody, even if they're having a great day, if I can make it even better, come on, man, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? I don't want to leave you like pissed. I'd like to see you like walk away like, man, that guy's fucking cool. Like,
Yeah, man, exactly.
you
And
know,
it's
so
so weird that that attitude is like an outlier nowadays, or so it would seem from social media and stuff. I think there's probably more of people like you and myself in that mindset where you want to leave people better than when you left. Like you hope, like my hope is that I can provide some sort of joy to somebody during the day, whether it's educational wise or
yeah,
just like having fun because I'm having fun. Like I want them to join in on the fun. But
yes.
I feel like that's not pushed out. I feel like there's more of us. Well, maybe I'm hopeful for that. It's my positivity coming through. But
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the message is exactly what you said, where it's you're conditioned to be like, what's going to trigger you? Like, what's going to trigger you, make you upset, get you fired up that way, make you angry. You've got a cause that you have to go for. And I feel you said it earlier, and that I feel like that's people's lack of feeling they have a purpose. They're searching for some sort of purpose in their life because they sit in these cubicles or the wall, like this wall, and they do exactly what their schooling has told them to do. And it's not fulfilling them on the inside. It's a good job. They're making money, but there's no fulfillment. And they could even switch careers and not own their own business. They could just go do a different thing that would make them happy. But they don't do that in fear of losing the paycheck and the status and everything else that they have lined up. And in turn, that makes them angry and need to find some sort of group or cause or something to get behind to make themselves feel like they have purpose.
And guess the root word of everything you just described was fear, because they were scared to be themselves. They're scared to do what you're doing, to do what I'm doing. Now imagine how happy you are on a regular basis. I'm sure you have bad days. I'm sure you have fucked up feelings here and there, but for the most part, I'm sure you vibrate pretty high. All right.
Yeah.
Now imagine that multiplied on a mass scale. We could all be this way. Everybody could literally be a bright light together, but they're conditioned to live in fear. And fear is faith contaminated. All right. So if you have faith in yourself, you can be yourself at any given time. You don't have to live in fear of if you're not going to make enough money, or what if someone thinks you're a poser, or any of those other things. If it's all going to go to hell, or you're not going to get enough customers, or you can't figure this out. That's all fear. If you can remove fear as an emotion, all you have left is opportunity. So I think that if people would stop being so scared of being themselves, I think that this world could be such a better place.
100%, man. You know, I
And
actually
notice
like
people idolize all the people who are living their lives, who are living their dreams.
that's a good
Why don't you
point.
do it too?
Yeah, it's a good point. You idolize, like, everybody idolizes these people on a pedestal, like, that are living their dreams out. They idolize them. It's like that's interesting to say. That's interesting. Like, when you put
Yeah.
it that way, um, everybody that's not fulfilling their dreams is idolizing somebody who is.
Yeah. So
That's pretty
why
rad.
would you want to be that way?
No,
When
I
you
know
when you
that.
go when you they call it the rocking chair test. When you're old and you're in your rocking chair, are you going to say that you lived the life that you wanted to live, or are you going to live a life of regret? I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Or, man, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did that. I'm such a crazy person. Oh my God. I'd rather have those type of rocking chair conversations.
Exactly. You
So I
want to
don't
be able
miss
to tell.
opportunity.
I want to
Yeah.
be able, when I'm old, to tell my kids stories and my grandkids stories about, like, when I tried this and failed, or I tried this and succeeded, or these, like, I want them to be able to come to grandpa and say, like, tell us this story, like, tell us about this, tell us about that. Like, those are the cool things. Like, I did that with my grandpa. He lived through some stuff, crazy things, and met met, like, he lived next door to Brooks Robinson. As I don't know if you know anything about baseball, but, like, he grew up with Brooks Robinson as his, like, the neighbor kid, and used to talk baseball with him and play
Yeah.
catch and everything, and, like, little stories like that. And then he would share them with me as a kid who loved baseball. I'm like, that's what I want. I want to have a life like that, where and he's a guy that sent it. Like, he worked his way up and then started his own business and then built it into something big and then moved it. And I mean, that's the way he lived. So it was cool to talk to him and pick up, like, all this different information from him. That's the way I want to be when I get older.
Yeah. Not, hey, I watched every season of NCIS, every day for 8 years straight. Like, I don't want, that's not life. And like I've said before, it's like they've made it so easy to be comfortable and content in your home and never want to leave. And you have to break through that matrix. You have to recognize that matrix, and you have to create your own, step outside of that. All they want you to do is sit in front of your TV and do what they tell you to do, and be mad about this. Like you said, be mad about that. Now we're mad about this. Now this is going on. Now that's going on. And you just see the people shift with whatever the screen tells you to think, and they're unfulfilled. They're unhappy. You know what I mean? And that's not life, man.
Dude, we just went to Costa Rica, and this is one takeaway we took back. Like, we took the whole family there. It's fantastic. I loved it. And I noticed you didn't care. Nobody's watching TV. All the kids are playing out. They're all happy. Like, they may not have a great life like we would consider a great life, right? But everybody's happy. And nobody cares or knows about what's going on in the world. There's no, like, political person jabbing something down their throat, or this news story or that news story about, like, this person got murdered. None of that's going on a day, like, as much as it is here, where it's just, like, pounding you in the head. And I felt so happy. Like, I got back, and I on purposely have not done or paid attention to those sort of things, because I'm like, I'm it's all going on still. The world's still moving. I was just in that world where it's like, oh, I'm in a different country, a long ways away from my home, and life is great. How is it? How is
But
this?
remember what I said earlier. In a heartbeat, you could be somewhere else, and it could be completely different. You know what I mean? And that's a great example. In America, that's the mindset right now: is fear and and just negativity and divisive, everyone dividing and all that stuff. But when you went somewhere else, you just all you did was remove yourself from that, and you saw the happiness you had. That could exist here if you just turned off everything around you,
That's
like
it.
you said.
That's it. All you got to do is turn
Yeah,
it off and go for a walk. Go outside. Do something like play with your kids. Whatever it is, just do
75 hard.
do the 75 hard. Everybody just sign up for the 75 hard. Just do that. Everybody be in great shape. Nobody have to worry about any disease ever because they would just crush it with every morning when they got up.
Exactly.
That's really true. That's really
That's
true.
awesome.
All right, well, Richard, dude, this has been awesome, dude. This has been a pleasure getting to meet you, dude, and have you on the show.
Yeah. Hey, thank you again, man. Like it's been an awesome conversation. I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah, no problem. Let everybody know where I put your. So I have your Instagram thing down. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I have your Instagram thing down on the YouTube so they can see it, your name and all that. But where else can everybody find you? Like, let them know and all the stuff you're doing, and if you know when Winter Circle's coming out or the different projects or whatever you want to push out there.
Cool. Well, to find us, we have a website, inklabsps.com, Instagram, inklabsps, Facebook, same thing. I made all the tags exactly the same. So across the board, everything's inklabsps. Um, and as far as Winter Circle goes, um, we have so many big things that we're cooking up. We're just trying to squeeze in the time to get them filmed and to get them shot and to get them printed and to get them. We have hats, everything coming out, man. So I would say within about 30 days. Um, and yeah, other than that, man, I'm just kind of keeping the rest of my stuff on the down low as far as what we're cooking up. The Winter Circle stuff is out there already, so I'm definitely happy to talk about that. InkLab is moving up. We are moving into a new location in a couple weeks. We have an awesome storefront now. So where we're at now, it's just like a production shop, so it's just like a big garage and we're just printing all day long. But now we'll have an actual store on a main street, so I guess that's what we can be looking out for in the area.
Right on, man. Right on. Richard, thanks for being on.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, brother.